What's up guys, it's Ian here, back today with another video, and today I'm here to give you an unboxing of the EFM mount 11-22mm f4 to 5.6 IS STM lens, image stabilized lens. Got this lens because I wanted a wide angle lens for the fitness content, so let's unbox it. We're gonna put it side by side the 15-45mm kit lens just to give you a comparison of the sizing, and then I'm going to record a few shots with both this lens and the kit lens to give you a bit of contrast as to what to expect between the 11mm viewpoint and the 15mm viewpoint. I got this lens because the kit lens at 15mm, even when zoomed all the way out, the widest field of view was still a bit too narrow. So hopefully this lens provides a slightly wider field of view. Comes with its own lens cap and its own end cap. Gonna go ahead and pull this camera off, switch over to the cell phone footage here, and give you a side-by-side of both of the lenses, and then I'll give you a footage comparison after that. Alright, I'm back recording in full HD from the Samsung S21. Hopefully it's not too bad, but here you have the M50 Mark II for size comparison. Gonna be careful not to touch the sensor. And then we got the kit lens 15-45 with image stabilization. It doesn't have the end cap, but it does sit on these little nubs here, so setting it down on a clean surface shouldn't damage any of the working components. And then we got the new 11-22 lens. Also, the working components are recessed slightly, so as long as you're setting it down on a clean surface, shouldn't damage any of the parts. We got the 11-22 right there. Give you a head-on, so it looks like the 11-22 is a little bit longer, slightly heavier as well. These both have image stabilization, which is good, although when I record most of my fitness content, the camera is sitting on a tripod, but this 11-22 lens will give a slightly wider field of view, and it also has the image stabilization, so it will come in handy for vlogging if I'm walking around trying to record that type of content. So now to round out the review, I'm going to put the camera on a tripod in a fixed position and move between each of the different lenses, zoomed all the way out to show you the widest possible field of view that each lens can provide. That way, you'll be able to get a good idea of how much wider of a field of view the 11-22mm lens provides over the 15-45 kit lens. This is the widest in-house Canon lens with image stabilization. They do make some 8mm, 10mm third-party manufactured lenses that do get a bit of a wider field of view, but they don't have image stabilization, so that's why I went with the Canon 11-22, because it does come with image stabilization. Without further ado, let's show you some of this footage so you can see the difference, and then I'll give you my thoughts to round it all up. Alright, so first up, we just got chin-ups. First shot is the 15-45mm lens, zoomed all the way out. Second clip here, also chin-ups, 11-22mm lens, zoomed all the way out with the tripod in the exact same spot. Next up, I performed a straddle front lever hold with the 15-45mm lens, zoomed all the way out. After that, we got another straddle front lever hold, tripod in the exact same spot, 11-22mm lens, zoomed all the way out. After that, we got advanced tuck front lever hold, 15-45mm lens, zoomed all the way out. After that, as you might guess, we got the advanced tuck front lever hold, 11-22mm lens, zoomed all the way out with the tripod in the same spot. After that, we got the horizontal body row on rings with the 15-45mm lens, zoomed all the way out. After that, we got the 11-22mm lens capturing the horizontal body row on rings, zoomed all the way out with the tripod in the same place. After that, we got the ring push-ups with the 15-45mm lens, zoomed all the way out. And after that, we got the tripod in the same place with the 11-22mm lens, zoomed all the way out with the ring push-ups again. After that, we got a tuck planche to planche lean drop set with the 15-45, zoomed all the way out. And after that, we got the tuck planche to planche lean drop set with the 11-22, tripod in the same place, zoomed all the way out. Moving on, we got a banded face pull to dumbbell curl superset with the 15-45mm lens, zoomed all the way out. And after that, we got the banded face pull to dumbbell curl superset with the 11-22mm lens, tripod in the same exact place, zoomed all the way out. You might be wondering why I started each shot with the 15-45mm lens. It's because if I had started with the 11-22 and gotten myself in the frame and then switched over to the 15-45, I might have had to move the ball head of the tripod or move the tripod itself to realign the shot, and I didn't want to do that. So I started every exercise first set with the 15-45mm lens zoomed all the way out, tried to get myself as much in the center of the field of view as I could, and then after that, I turned off the camera, switched to the 11-22, turned it back on, and kept the tripod and the ball head in the exact same spot, ideally keeping myself centered in the shot, and just expanding the borders a little bit more. There's a few landmarks that you can look at in each of the shots just to tell the difference in how much more border was captured. The difference in border is going to depend on how close the camera is to the subject. So when I had the camera across the room, the borders might have been 2 additional feet on each side of the field of view, but when the camera was closer up, the difference was smaller. It might have just been like half a foot to 1 foot more field of view. So when the camera's closer up, the difference really isn't as great, but when the camera's further away, it really expands that field of view a lot. So that's why I started each series of exercises with the 15-45, got myself centered, and then switched to the wider view. It just guaranteed that I would be in the shot for the 15-45. All right, so hopefully you found that video useful. I recorded one set of each exercise with the 15-45mm Canon lens that comes with the M50, the kit lens, and I recorded one set of each of the exercises with the 11-22 lens. Both of the lenses are manufactured by Canon. In both settings, I had the tripod in the exact same place. I just turned the camera off, switched the lens, turned it back on, did the next set of the exercise. I tried to do the same exercise about as closely as I could replicate it, just to show you the difference in field of view. Right now, I'm recording this outro handheld, just so you can see what the field of view looks like. Right now I have the 15-45 zoomed all the way out. The description should be on the screen, so you should be able to see that anyways. This is a full arm's length. My elbow is fully locked out, and I'm even turning the right side of my body away. Camera's held in the left hand here, but you couldn't realistically hold the camera like this for any real length of time. I tend to hold the camera with a bent elbow, upper arm about parallel with the floor, and just kind of like my arm is like this, but envision that I'm holding the camera in the right hand. That's how I typically hold the camera. The camera does have a shotgun mic mounted on top, and the flippy screen is flipped to the side just so I can see the footage and make sure that I am in the frame. That's why you don't see me always looking at the lens. I'm sometimes looking off to the side. It's because I'm just trying to make sure that my head is in the frame. Let's switch over to this 11-22 lens though, and give you a bit of comparison as to how it looks handheld with the elbow bent like now, and how it looks with the arm straight. And now we have the Canon 11-22mm lens zoomed all the way out at the 11mm setting. This is being held with the elbow bent, roughly this arm position here. So you can see that the field of view is already a bit wider. Let's see how it looks with the arm fully straightened. This is with the arm fully straightened. You can see that the elbow's straight. I'm reaching with the shoulder, and I can even turn away with the right hand a little bit to get a slightly wider field of view there. So you can see that you can really see this entire laundry room. It's full of stuff, and it probably does not look that aesthetic, but I have to turn this way because there's no light in here, and I need to face the kitchen lights in order to not be enshrouded in complete darkness. Overall, this lens is, I think it's good value. It was $400. I'm trying to shake the camera a little bit here just to test out the image stabilization. I know that the Canon M50 does not have in-body image stabilization. It's looking like it's pretty smooth. I can't really tell how smooth it is because I'm shaking the camera and the screen is also shaking, but in post-production we will see how smooth that actually does look. I'm able to hold the camera pretty close to my face. Like right now, I would say that the camera is 7 inches away from my face, and it can capture my whole face on that 11mm setting. For frame of reference, I had my hand like this. My pinky is touching the bottom of the lens and my thumb is touching my nose. So I'm that close to the camera. It might look like I'm a little bit further away, but I am actually really close and it's still able to capture my whole face. I've heard from various photography sources on the internet, Reddit, YouTube videos of actual photography YouTubers that the autofocus can be a bit worse if you don't use Canon brand lenses. I don't know if that's true. This is my first mirrorless camera. This is the first additional lens that I've purchased, the 11-22. So far, I've been using the 15-45 for basically all of my fitness content. I almost always use the 15-45 zoomed all the way way out on that 15mm setting. Sometimes I'll crop the edges of the shot if it's not very aesthetic, just for the purposes of making the video look better. But for the most part, I always use that lens zoomed all the way out. I'm pretty sure that this 11 to 22mm lens will just start to live on my camera. It's going to be my default lens for most of my fitness videos going forward. I wasn't really able to delve too much into the technical aspects of the differences between these lenses. I'm not too well versed in photography, but I did make this purchase because this lens has image stabilization. It's a Canon branded lens and it works well with the autofocus. I can tell that it's tracking my eyes very well with the autofocus. So far I'm very happy with this lens, excited to do some vlogging. It is a little bit heavy. Maybe my arm is just tired from the workout. I have my hand supporting my elbow here because I'm beginning to get fatigued. Let's switch hands. All right, that feels a lot better. So I just switched hands. Yeah, overall, very happy with this lens. Wider field of view. Let me know if you have any questions down below. Comment, let me know what you'd like to see in the next video. And for point of reference, I think this 11 to 22 lens will suffice for most of my vlogging and fitness video needs, where I'm more realistically going to be closer to the camera and wanting to capture as much detail close up as I can. I'm limited by how far away I can actually put the tripod inside of my house. I can't get the tripod super far away to capture the same field of view with the 15mm lens. Essentially, to get that same field of view, I'd have to put the tripod physically further away, which I'm not always afforded the luxury to do so when I'm recording inside. So this lens will live on the camera. I'll still keep the 15 to 45 in case I'm recording outdoor content or I want to record things that are further away. Would I purchase a telephoto lens or a longer than 45mm lens for the Canon M50? I'm not sure. I think of this camera as more of a vlogging camera. $400 was already a pretty big investment on top of such a budget camera. I don't want to call it cheap, but in the camera photography world, a $700 body is pretty cheap. Came with the kit lens. I believe it was $700 with the kit lens, but $400 on top of that is not cheap. I think this might be the final lens that I get for the Canon M50 Mark II. I'm definitely gonna keep this as a vlogging camera no matter what, but if I wanted to get even more into the world of lenses, I'd probably get another camera body and invest in a whole nother ecosystem. So hopefully that gives you some frame of reference, but I think this lens is definitely a must-have if you are a Canon M50 Mark II owner. You don't want to shell out the extra money for a whole nother camera body and body ecosystem of lenses. If you just want to make the most out of your existing camera body, get that wider field of view with the image stabilization, with the high quality eye tracking and autofocus, I think this is a great lens because there's a lot of cheaper options with wide field of view, but they might not eye track autofocus as well. They might not have the image stabilization. So let's say you get a little bit tired, your arm is shaking like mine is now. The video is still pretty smooth. If you go third-party lenses and you buy some of these other wide-angle lenses, they might not support the eye tracking autofocus as well. They might not have the same quality of image stabilization. So overall, I think that this is a good buy if you're trying to make the most out of your existing Canon M50, whether it's the Mark I or Mark II. If you're just trying to make the most out of the existing body, not yet ready to shell out a couple thousand for a full frame camera or something that's actually an upgrade, I would definitely buy this lens for the camera. If you're just a vlogger on a budget trying to make the most out of a mid to low budget, I guess this is about as low budget as cameras get for the cameras with interchangeable lenses. I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm rich because I'm obviously not, but subscribe and share so I can get Lamborghinis and be a full-time YouTuber. Either way, I think if you're on a budget, you don't want to jump up to a full frame camera, invest, thousands of dollars in a whole nother ecosystem of camera equipment. I'd say that this is a good way to go, and I'm very happy with the purchase. The eye tracking is good. It seems like the stabilization is good. Not much else to say. Let me know if you have any questions down below, and I will talk to you soon.